Sorry,
Hello.
can you hear me okay? Are we all good?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I can hear you fine. I've just been having some technical difficulties in this studio. We've been having a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, it's good
No,
that
no
you came
problem.
when you guys did because we've just been having a bit of a nightmare.
Oh, thank God. I felt so bad. They've been running so late, and that was my fault. Sorry.
Don't feel bad. I've just had a load of people around. We've just been running around like headless chickens. Like, why isn't the thing working? Yeah, I'm just having a beef with the technology today. So you've come perfectly on time. Perfectly.
Oh,
It couldn't have been
fate,
better.
fate. Perfect.
But yeah,
Okay, good. I'm not in
literally
trouble
same.
then.
Oh no, you're all good, Theo. You're all good. And how are you doing? You okay?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing all good. Aside from the technology that I'm beefing with, aside from that, we're all we're all good. Everything's going okay.
You got it all sorted, so that's the main
That's
thing.
it. Exactly. And it's album release day, man. Are you hyped?
I know. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm too excited, I think. And I'm having a coffee right now, which is probably not the best idea. But
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And you should be really proud of it. It's absolutely banging. So good. So good. I've just got loads of questions. I'm gonna try and get through them as quickly as possible because I know you guys have got time limited and I don't want to take too much of you guys' time.
no, don't be
Um,
silly. Of
but yeah,
course.
I'm ready to start whenever you are, Theo.
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go
Oh,
for it.
that's brilliant. So you're from Scotland, based in Scotland. Um, and I've interviewed quite a few people from Scotland now. And what I didn't really realize was like how like good the music community is up there. Because obviously we're like way, down at the bottom, like nearer the bottom. So there's a bit of a disconnect. But like, you know, for me, like learning about how you guys are getting on up there and the kind of community you are very, very close knit as like musicians. Do you enjoy that like side, like being in Scotland and being situated there? Has the music industry been good for you up there?
So yeah, I love Scotland. Like I've lived here pretty much my whole life. So I'm from like Perthshire, so like quite a remote bit, but like I've lived in Dundee, which is a city for quite a while. And growing up as a teenager, the music scene here was genuinely incredible. Like it was just so much fun, so inspiring. Unfortunately, that kind of died a bit like over I don't know why, just like over the years. But I have noticed recently, there's been a resurgence, and I've definitely been trying to like throw myself back into that. I mean, I can't speak for other places in Scotland. I know Glasgow has like quite a thriving scene, and there's a lot of like amazing amazing artists. There's a couple of great bands coming from Edinburgh as well at the moment. But yeah, like it's I don't know. I don't know any different. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I often because I've wondered about moving to London and things before, but I just don't. I think I would just be out of my depth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much, I interview people from all over the place, and I don't know, there's something about Scotland. I don't know what it is, but I mean, it's kind of weird looking from the outside in. You know what I mean? So, it's different perspective. You're there doing it, and obviously I'm like back here, and I'm kind of just like watching it all unfold. But it just seems like there's so much going on up there at the minute, especially like on like an alternative kind of like indie side. There just seems like there's so much coming out and happening up there. I don't know. Maybe that's just the vibe at the minute, but what we're rolling with. But yeah,
No, there definitely is. I think Scotland's always had really good output, and I think it goes through phases where people really are like kind of you're saying focused on it, and I'm glad that like people are focusing on it at the moment. There's a couple of like really good bands up here, and I'm like I just want them to yeah to get down south and get heard, but I guess it is we are quite far away. I'm 500 miles from London, so
yeah,
it's quite a while.
yeah. It's a really weird thought, isn't it? It's actually weird. It's weird thinking about that. It is so far. But like I say, and it all the music is being recognized down here, and it's prominent, and we're seeing it. And is that like weird for you to like think that like everything that you've done is kind of like we're hearing it down in Stoke? Is that kind of like weird to think that people are like listening all around the place, really?
I love it. Like I on some of the streaming apps, like you can see where people are streaming your music, and it makes me laugh. Like some of the places that I'm like, I can't believe that. Like even like I don't know, just the places I've never would have gone to, like villages in Japan and things. I'm like, how is that even got there? Like, and it's just mad. Like, 'cause it's such a different world, and Yeah, it's definitely an amazing thought that, my little stories are traveling about and people are connecting with it. But yeah, very
Yeah.
grateful.
And I suppose that's like the magic of the industry, you know what I mean? Getting those stories told all over the place. And you know, the thing that I think is really special about you is that it's all very like relatable. And people can really relate to the stories that you tell and the stories and the influences that are coming through your songs, especially this EP that's out today. Has that side been kind of like difficult for you to like express, or has it been quite easy like talking about yourself and being really like personal and kind of open? Because I mean I've given you a bit of a stalk, Theo. I've given you a bit of stalk for a while now.
Don't we
And, you know,
all?
you seem like a really open person, like and really open to talk about things. Has that been difficult, or is that kind of easy for you?
You know, I'm glad that's how it comes across, because I that's exactly what I want. Like, I think that I've had a I've had a lot of hard times, and I think my perspective's definitely really changed, and I'm sure I'll have hard times again, but I think life is, too short to kind of be anything other. Like I've always tried so hard to be mysterious, but I actually can't. Like, I can't shut up. Like, I tell everyone everything. I'm always the drunkest person there telling everyone my nonsense, but I've just kind of went into that, and I'm like, I love that part of myself, that I'm silly, but I'm also like real. And like, I'm older now as well, than so I turned 28 this year, and like, I just think, I don't know, there was a real change that I thought I didn't have the same brain as I did when I was younger, and like, just different things seem unimportant to me now, and yeah. But I just I want people to feel close to me and feel close to me through their music, because I know life is really difficult. Like, I don't know how people do it.
Yeah. Oh, agreed. Agreed with all of that. Agreed, and I relate as well. You can't shut me up most times either. I'm like Zippy. And you know I can't shut
But
up
there's nothing
half the
wrong with
time.
that.
But it's
It's
not a
good
bad
to like
thing.
be hyper. No, I'm hyper like all the time. So just lean into it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, and I'm all about it. It's banging. But you know, and that's the great thing about doing this, and you know, being able to do these interviews and kind of like get to talk about everything, because you really get that chance for that self-reflection. And I think that's what comes through with a lot of your music, that self-reflection and kind of looking back in the past and kind of evaluating things. And it's important, you know what I mean, as growth as a person. Is that important to you, that kind of like self-reflection aspect?
Yeah, I think so. I think, again, something I learned, I've often been like a victim mentality throughout my life, always feeling like I'd like drawn the short straw. But I think, just from my experiences, I'm like, there was a lot of reflection on where, I had been wrong, or like, well, maybe I was the bad guy, and I think that was like genuinely one of the hardest things to do. But like, my music's really helped me do that, and like also be very forgiving of myself, because I don't think you can really forgive other people properly and move like away from the past if you can't forgive yourself. And I think when I learned to do that, and yeah, I reflect on my life quite critically, it's definitely made for better art, but it's also probably made me a better person.
Yeah, yeah. And kind of what are the inspirations that have gone in behind the EP? Um, what oh, I can't think of the word. I can't think of the word. Again, it's that reflection aspect again. Has that been prominent through this EP especially?
Yeah, I think so. So, I mean, I had a very, very difficult time last summer. I was very unwell, and I think I moved to the Isle of Skye to work in a hotel, and that was really the beginning. I guess I didn't even realize consciously at this time, but this was maybe the beginning of this EP getting written, because it was like the experiences I'd had. And then I read Homer's Iliad, and there's a line in it like, "We will never be here again," and I think it just really summed up everything I'd been feeling over a very long period of time. That, like, life is so short, and I don't know. yeah, and then when I came back to Dundee, like after I'd been on Sky, like, and I'd done all that sort of critical retrospection, like it was easy, it was weird to like look at my life in Dundee, and I still feel like a teenager, but I'm like trying to like be an adult. Like it's just such a weird juxtaposition, and because pursuing, you know, a life as an artist is difficult. Like people don't always take you seriously, especially in like a small town. People are like, get a job, basically. Like don't get me wrong, there's supportive people too, but there is like that pressure externally. But it was definitely, there were so many moving parts to it, like kind of being that bohemian like teenager stuck in an adult's body, and then I also really related it to the themes of Homer's Iliad, which is a lot about, you know, the dramas and like of and warfare of being a man, like being a human, and like the sort of search and quest for feeling at home, and all these like very human things. And I kind of was, I don't know, facetiously likened all those things to the Trojan War, which I thought was really funny. Like life is, you know, living in the east coast of Scotland is like the Trojan War, but I thought it summed up quite well, like my personality, that, you know, I'm so, I get so dark and into these terrible places, but then also like I personally think I'm the funniest person alive. Like, so I wanted to have that yin and yang, and I think that's come across. So I'm
Yeah.
pleased.
And it definitely has. And it's something that you should be really proud of. I don't think I've met or interviewed an artist that's been so open personally about what's going on in their head. And, you know, these days with mental health, it's really important to get those messages out there and to find that
Yeah.
relatability and that connection with your listeners. And you know, and it's like you said before, it really helps with the art kind of like side. It really helps and goes in balance, and you've got that yin and yang, and it's really really difficult balance to strike. And you've struck it, if that's the right verb. You know, you've struck that balance, and it's all come off so well, and you really get to see the journey through the EP, the Iliad. You get to see the journey of emotions through the oh, what is it, intermissions, is that? I
Yeah.
can't think of the words today. Normally
Um,
normally I'm quite good. It's an interval, like, you know, the interval
yeah.
that we've got going
Like
on.
I know I can't. I don't think of the word now either.
Yeah,
Interlude.
yeah, the words are escaping me today. I
No,
ain't too,
same.
too good. The words are
I
just
was like
not
that.
coming in
Yes.
my head.
Intermission.
But you know what I mean. They'll know what we mean in the edit. You know what I mean. They'll know what
You're
we're
not
talking
wrong. You're not
about.
wrong.
But you know, you really get to see the journey across the EP. And you know, has that been difficult? How did you get to this point and get through this journey? What got you into music?
Oh my gosh, I've done music forever, and you know, it's so funny because I think I was telling someone this yesterday that I've always threatened, I'm like, I'm never doing music again, like I'm not cut out for this industry, like blah blah blah. And somehow I have always returned to it. Like it just feels like my God-given th- thing. Like that's why I'm here, was is to make music, and I'll always make it in some capacity. But I mean, when I was a kid, I was obsessed. Like, used to, you know, rock out in my bedroom, hairbrush style, like in the mirror. And then I did musical theater, and you know, and then I met Mark, who I share the band with now. He's heavily involved, and we met when we were 11. And you know, we're in bands like through school, and somehow as well we've stuck it out and are still writing about our lives. And I just think that's so novel and special, and I don't know, I'm not taking that for granted either, because I can't imagine not having an outlet like music, you know. I think, or any sort of creative outlet, I think it just is such therapy. So yeah, I'm very lucky.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you've got that outlet, because, you know, people are finding solace in your music, and they're able to relate, like I said before. And it really is about that relatability, and you have come so far. Sometimes it's easy to kind of like, you know, negate feelings and negate how you can't really see it. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to look back in the past and see how far you've come. But your face is on a billboard, Theo, like
I
all over. Like,
know.
is that weird? Is that strange? Like looking and seeing your face on the wall, like advertising, getting out there. Is it strange?
It's so strange. And my manager said that that was happening, but then I forgot. And then we were walking down the street and saw it, and I actually really screamed. I was like, ah, like that's me, like that's CP. I don't know. It's just so exciting. Like it just makes me feel famous, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, like just what I've always wanted. And I actually love what you just said, though. Like I think it's very hard sometimes to look, but especially if you've struggled with like a negative kind of disposition of mind, like you can't always like look back and be happy for things. Like some of the experiences at the time, I was like, that was rubbish. But as I've looked back, I'm like, it wasn't all rubbish. Like there was a lot of good things too, and that's how I'm kind of seeing the project. That I'm like, nothing's a given. Like if everything is like I'm grateful for, like the billboards, that's insane. And we had a show last night, and it was just like so many people came, and it was just so special. And I'm like, that's just not a given. I'm just so lucky. Yeah, feel great.
Yeah, like you say, it's really difficult to go back in the past and do that, but it's all about the learning process and the growth and the kind of reinvention. And is that something that you'll think you'll be doing in the future? Maybe could you see yourself reinventing yourself further, or maybe moving into different genres, more collaborations, different collaborations? Is that something that you're open to?
Yeah, very open. I mean, I did a dance track recently, which I had the most fun with a guy called Big Miz. And that was so much fun. Like it was something a totally different world to me. So I'm always open to collaborate, and I'm open, I'm open to most things, like because you just don't know what's going to come from it. But I mean, we're really deep into the recording of like our next EP already, and like I'm already kind of in that world now of like because I was in the Iliad world so much, but now it's like I'm in this next phase. So I think it's just about keeping going forward, seeing what inspires the next thing, and yeah, just excited for what's to come
Yeah,
because I
that
don't
is so
know
exciting.
because I'm
It is really
chaotic.
exciting. I mean, they're kind of tough questions. They're hard, and it's hard looking in the future as well, and kind of trying to predict what's going to come next. But as long as it's exciting, the sky's the limit, and you've got that creativity, and you're in that zone, like you just said, the creative zone, and you've got everything that you want going on. The sky's the limit, and you can go as far as you want. But have you ever had to compromise, kind of like creatively? At any point during your career? Have you been said no to, or has things not been seen as creative as you wanted it to be originally?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's maybe something I'm a bit a fault of mine, probably a bit of a fascist, like things my way. So I think learning to compromise with creative partners is a really good thing. I've been lucky that I've pretty much my whole life written with Mark, and we really have, we share the last brain cell. Like we are literally like, very on the same page with writing. And I've always been lucky that, but don't get me wrong, the fights are vicious when we don't agree on something. But I think that's been what's good about working with other people from different genres and stuff. You just pick things up that you wouldn't have maybe thought of, or like just yeah, like such an open mind. But yeah, I mean, you asking that is hilarious because I have been told no more times than I could count. Like it's not been easy. Like, and I've had other projects before that haven't gone well. I've had nightmare situations. I've been told before I wasn't marketable because of the way I looked, and some really like things that people say in such a throwaway thing that and so much misogyny. Like I've faced like disgusting misogyny, and I'm a white cis woman, so like I recognize like that's the tip of the iceberg of the problem in music. And I mean that's something I'd really will one day really want to delve into, because yeah, I think it's definitely hard to break through like as a woman, and you do face these extra sort of barriers of getting taken seriously like as well, especially when you're like a silly little guy like me. But like it's difficult, but there must be something in me innate that I'm just like a bulldozer because I've just kept doing it. And I'm not afraid to shout back now. Like if someone said something to me, I'd be like, no.
And I'm really glad to hear that. And I'm really glad that you mentioned that side of the industry, because it's a very unfortunate side of our industry, the misogyny that goes with it. And it's like you say, it's very, very, very insanely difficult for young women, especially, to break through into the industry and to be taken
Yeah.
seriously. It's something that needs to change immediately. And I feel like gradually, slowly but surely, um, it will change. And doing these interviews give me hope, because it's
Yes.
an ongoing thing that I've heard, quite a lot now. And I remain hopeful that it will change. And it's people like you that are empowering that change and being vocal and getting your stories across and getting your creativity across, and being prominent and being there no matter where you come from. Even if you're up the top of Scotland or down the bottom, wherever's down the bottom, I ain't gonna try and do the geography, you know what I mean? But
No, don't
it
test
is
me on
it is about
geography.
that. It's about
No,
being
it
prominent.
is. I think music is for everyone, and like the arts are for everyone, and they should be. And I think that, yeah, I'm with you. I think it is changing. The tides are turning, but we can all push further. So, maybe voices that weren't heard before are. And yeah, if I ever had a big platform, I'd be doing that as most I could. But thank you for saying that. I do try my best.
That's it. And just keep doing what you're doing and keep going. And yeah, the future will be bright. But we'll just kind of to wrap up now. Looking back into the past again, what would you say that your proudest moment's been so far? Big or small? I
I
mean, that is a very tough question.
You know what? It's so recent. I actually think my proudest moment was last night. I put on a listening party for my EP in Glasgow, and I arranged like the whole thing with Mark and like a couple others to help me out. And I had all these ridiculous big ideas, and all these people I asked to do it all were like, "Yeah, great." And I just managed to create this like night that was just it was so special, like, and it was sold out, and I was like, I can't believe it, like all these people have come. And just like, I thought, it's not even just the project that is like, or the songs, like it's like, oh, feels like a world, like it feels like a scene, like a vibe. And I just feel really, really proud today that like we did that. And like, I don't know, it's egged me on so much more to just keep going. So yeah, it's not I'm not sold out Wembley yet, but like it's like that doesn't matter to me. It's like that was enough.
Yeah, good. And I'm really glad to hear that. And you should be really proud of everything that you've accomplished so far. You should be proud of today, last night, and yeah, just keep going and keep doing what you're doing. And are there any dates that you want to mention in the future, just while I've got you? Anything that's going to be happening soon? If there's anything going on, if there's anything you can tell us.
Yeah, so I'm doing All Points East in August. That's booked, and then all the other things are kind of big delusional plans in my mind right now, but they're all getting ironed out. So just all I would say is keep an eye on all my social media, because I'm gonna be announcing a few things really soon. And I would love people to come along.
That's brilliant. Theo, it's been such a joy having you along, and thank you so much for your time. I know it's very precious. We're on a very prominent day in your career. Your EP has just dropped. So, thank you so much for joining us and
Oh,
giving us
I've
a bit
had
of an
so much
insight onto
fun.
what's going on. It's been so fun, so interesting to talk to you.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Honestly, I've had such a lovely time. I'll hopefully see you again.